to show you live streaming here how to free motion embroidery and quilt on any sewing machine. So let me just get my camera set up here real quick so we can see very clearly. All right, so the first step to doing this free motion quilt or embroidery on any sewing machine is we're going to set up our sewing machine here. And let me clarify this, that this is on any fairly modern sewing machine. If you have a vintage and old sewing machine, you may not be able to do this, but look at the notes that I left. I have some tips on how to do this same technique if you have a very old machine. I'm showing this on a Juki, but you can use any sewing machine, any newer. It can be any range of price. It can be a really affordable, simple straight stitch sewing machine only. You'll still be able to do it. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to find where my feed dog control is. Let me show you what the feed dog is. If I turn my machine around to the back here, you're going to see right here, let's see if I can zoom in a little, these little teeth that are under the foot. I'll move the foot so you can see it a little bit better. These little feet here, these little like grooves, that is what is going to move the fabric. We don't want the fabric to move this way. We want to control it ourselves. So on my machine, let me zoom back out here so you can see. And there we go. So on my machine, the control is right here for the feed dog. That is what is going to move the feed dog up and down. So you'll see here how it's up. If I flick this to the left, see how the feed dropped down? Now this is just smooth metal and it's not going to lift up and move the fabric. That's going to give us that free motion that we're looking for. So this little lever here could be anywhere on your machine. It could be on the front. I think typically they're on the back and it just looks like this. It's not marked or anything, so you'll have to just kind of play around with your machine and find where yours is there. Turn this back around here. The other thing I like to do is remove the foot. I've tried this using a standard foot and it doesn't go well. The fabric doesn't move well enough. So I do suggest removing the foot when you do this. And so let me show you first on quilting. I did a little bit here in another video to show so you can see just these little squiggly lines. So let's start with some quilting. Let's free motion quilt on this. I lowered the feed dog and I have my stitch just to a very basic straight stitch. There's nothing special going on here. It's just a normal straight stitch. So let me pull this in so you can see this closer. So what I like to do is drop the needle down where I want to start. I'm gonna start right here. So with the hand crank, I'm gonna drop the needle down and bring it back up. And you'll notice I'm holding this top thread. Once it comes all the way back up, you can keep pulling that top thread and it's gonna pull up your bobbin thread, just like that. I like to have both threads on the top, and then I'm gonna hold these off to the side while I start sewing. I'm gonna lower the foot where I want it to be. And so now I'm just got this little metal thing here. So you'll see there's not any guide or anything with the needle. It would be very easy for me to hit my finger with the needle while I'm doing this. So to be safe, I like to have this kind of stance. Left and right of the needle. If I start getting close, you lift your foot up, you stop. You don't try to move your hands out of the way. Just do this in slow, steady motion and just keep it going as safe as you can, excuse me, like this with your hands like this. I'll show you. I'll just start real slow here. And I'm just going to pull this around like that. And if it starts to stick a little bit like that, I have fleece under here, so it starting to stick. Feel free to lift the foot up and then try it with the foot up. And that might work better for you. So here we go. I'm just doing little zigzags, little twirlies here. And you can see I have this full motion free, and I'm keeping my hands out. If you want to move what you're doing, you can put the needle down and then you can kind of pivot around to change your hand position or anything like that. So there we have free motion quilting. And now let me show you how I like to do free motion embroidery. This is where it really gets fun. So I have just a standard embroidery hoop. This is not a sewing machine embroidery hoop. It's just for hand sewing. And the fabric, I've backed it with some stabilizer, some fusible interfacing. Anytime you do embroidery, you want something on the back. I like doing the thinnest, this is just the Pellon, just the absolute thinnest fusible embroidery or fusible backing that I could find. And then I have my embroidery hoop set up, it's tight. And I like this too, I'll show you why. This is a lot safer for your hands doing it this way. So let me show you how I do that. What you're gonna do to get the embroidery hoop under there is you're gonna lift the foot and then you're gonna lift it even higher. It'll go higher than it seems to get this set up. There we go. Then I'm gonna do the same thing wherever I wanna start. I'm gonna drop the needle down, bring it back up and pull that bobbin thread up and then hold it out to the side. And now the reason why I like the embroidery hoop, even if you're quilting, I like to hoop it like this, because then I'm holding the hoop. See how I can move this all around without my fingers in the sewing area? And that way it's a lot safer. So let me get started here. I'm gonna drop the needle down, bring it back up again, just like we did before. And then wherever I wanna start is where I'm gonna drop the needle. Let me just pull this up and out of the way here. Again, stitch is still just the regular stitch. My foot is down, my presser foot is down. Get totally set up here. Then we're just gonna start stitching. And now you can see I have a lot of free motion here. I can do however I wanna do. And then let me speed it up a little bit. I'm gonna speed my machine up here. Now you can see, it gets a little louder, but now you can see that I really have full control. Any way, any direction I wanna go. And if I wanna build it up, I can fill that in. Just like that. Okay, lift the foot to remove this. Got to lift it up a little higher so that you can see what we did here. There we go. Total free motion embroidery. And so you would do something, you would maybe you like a pattern, you could draw something out. I wouldn't just free motion like this. I would have it drawn out with some kind of pen or something before I started doing this. This is just to show you the basic idea of what you can do. So one of the questions I get is, okay, you did it on a straight stitch. Can you do that with a different stitch as well? And let me show you. Yes, you can, and it's actually really cool. So I'm gonna start again, put my foot down, up and down with the thread, bring the thread up. Now I'm gonna change my stitch to just a regular zigzag stitch. On my machine, that's 12. And I'm gonna do, this is 5 is like the standard width. I'm gonna go a little bit wider with it. Let's go to like a 7, like the widest we can do. So now let's see what happens when I embroider that way with the zigzag. How cool is that? So this would be really good for filling in an area. And let me show you too, if I make the stitch smaller. Let's see how that looks. I have a lot more control with that, and I can really fill in a spot. And then let's bring that stitch smaller again. Let's do that 5.0 and see how that looks. And you can see I have total control with my hands off to the sides. Just like that. Lift it and then lift all the way up to get the hoop out of the way. And there you have it, free motion embroidery on any sewing machine. And then to bring the sewing machine back to regular, I would just spin this around. Here's my little notch. Click that over. And then because this is a digital machine, I would need to rotate this down and back up to get those feed dogs to pop back up. You can kind of see there how it popped right back up there. And that's it. That's pretty easy. Feel free to leave me any questions you have below of what if you had any questions about this technique. Also, please let me know how you think you would use this, what you would use this for. You could also take little pieces of fabric and use this to stitch them on patches or appliques. A lot of different uses for that as well, not just embroidery or quilting. There's a lot of different things you can do with this once you have that free motion. You can actually draw. It would take some practice to get used to feeling it. I would definitely practice on a scrap piece of fabric first. But I'd love to hear your comments and see what you guys think of this and how you think you would use it. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. And hope to see you all next time.